You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another DVD collection video. Today I'll be doing another themed collection video, and it's been a while since I've done one of those. And as you can tell by the title, we're doing my Clint Eastwood collection. So far, anyway. I do plan to get more. I don't think I have the mule, so it's not in this collection, but I have seen it, and I do plan to get it. If I do have it, I don't know where it is. I don't think I own it, though. I think I just saw it in theaters when it came out a couple years ago. But to start off with, we'll do the iconic roll, the Man with No Name trilogy, also known as the Dollars Trilogy. As you can see, according to the spine, it's got the good, the bad, and the ugly, a fistful of dollars, and for a few dollars more. Now, it's interesting that they put the good and the bad and the ugly at the top and then put it in the other two below. Because The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is the third movie in the trilogy, although if it were to be looked at as a traditional trilogy, it would chronologically be the first. So I guess that's kind of what they're going for here. From what I understand, Sergio Leone didn't even want this to be a trilogy originally. It just kind of became one as it got marketed in the US. So I don't know that I necessarily look at it as a trilogy in the way that a lot of people do, because he ends up becoming wealthy and successful at the end of each of these movies. So I just feel like at some point he wouldn't need to keep doing things to get rich when he already does at the end of every movie. But yeah, here's a Fistful of Dollars. It's the first one in the trilogy, and again, if we're looking at it as a traditional trilogy, it would, I guess, be the second chronologically. I'm gonna be honest, this is the one I remember the least. I've only seen it once, and I was very tired when I watched it. I absolutely want to give it another watch, though, because I don't feel like I gave it enough of a good viewing. Like, I need to be watching it in the right frame of mind. Because so far, this is my least favorite of the trilogy. I did like it, I just don't remember a whole hell of a lot about it. I do know it's like sort of an unofficial remake of a samurai movie called Yojimbo, and Sergio Leone actually got sued for it. But I do want to rewatch this one, so for now I don't have a whole hell of a lot to say about it, because it's been the longest since I've seen this one, and I don't remember a whole hell of a lot about it. I do remember liking what I do remember, though. Alright, next up we have For a Few Dollars More. I actually just watched this for the first time ever a couple weeks ago. Fucking loved it. Absolutely spectacular movie. Having Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood in it, much like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly does, definitely is a high selling point for it. And I think that I like it, like I said, so far better than A Fistful of Dollars. I feel like the trilogy got better with each installment. I really like this one because they play bounty hunters going after this gang led by this one bad bandit guy. I forget his name. It was something in Spanish. And Lee Van Cleef's character has like a personal history with him and actually has a grudge against him. It's a great movie. Love it. Final battle was great. Characters were very interesting. Loved it. Alright, and here it is, boys. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. As I've said many times, this is my second favorite movie of all time. And it's my favorite non-Takeshi movie. It's easily my favorite Western. I fucking love this movie. I have seen it so many times. It's like 3 hours long, and I've seen it multiple times. But for me, this is the definitive Western. It's about these three bandits searching for $200,000 buried somewhere in a graveyard by this guy named Bill Carson. I would say my favorite character is Tuco Ramirez, because he is the most developed and the one we know the most about. He's the most humanized, I think. We don't know a whole hell of a lot about Blondie or Angel Eyes. We don't even know either of their real names. That said, I think Blondie and Angel Eyes are both much more badass than Tuco. It's just Tuco's much more, I'd say, sympathetic, just because you kind of understand him a little bit. That said, Tuco's also still a pretty bad person. I just think he's a much more interesting character because he's much more fleshed out than Blondie and Angel Eyes. That said, all three main leads are fucking great. They're great characters. I absolutely love them. Like I said, there's a reason this is one of my all-time favorite movies. Alright, next up we have the Dirty Harry collection. This has all 5 Dirty Harry movies. Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, The Enforcer, Sudden Impact, and the Deadpool. I liked all of these movies to varying degrees. I think my favorite was Dirty Harry. My least favorite was Magnum Force. Ranking the movies, I would say Dirty Harry's the best. None of the others even come close, to be fair. But the sequels are still really good. I would say my second favorite is probably Sudden Impact, which was actually the only one directed by Clint Eastwood out of these, because they all had different writers and directors. Then I would say after that, my next favorite would probably be The Enforcer. I thought that one was really good. I really liked it. Then probably the Deadpool, and then Magnum Force. My only real gripe with the Deadpool is it feels really short. I think there should have been more of it. But I overall thought it was decent enough send-off. I think it was maybe a little bit anticlimactic for the finale. But then again, I don't know if it was intended to be the finale, and it came out a few years after the series supposedly had ended, so Nevertheless, I still think it's a good series. Now, the discs are kind of stacked here. They're out of order. There's the Deadpool. There's Sudden Impact. They're actually in reverse order, I think, because I watched them. So there you go. Dirty Harry. Oh, no, there's the first one, Dirty Harry. Okay, never mind. And then there's Magnum Force. So yeah, there's all the Dirty... Oh, and the Enforcer. So a little bit of a weird order here, but whatever. There they are. Next up, we have Gran Torino. This is probably my second favorite Clint Eastwood movie. I fucking love Gran Torino. I think that it's a very interesting premise because it's an old man who's really grumpy and hates his family. And he has his racial biases against his neighbors. But then he actually learns he has more in common with his Asian neighbors than his actual family. And he starts to bond with them and get really close to them. Some other stuff happens, but I don't want to spoil this movie. I absolutely recommend you check it out yourself. It's fucking great. This movie does a really good job at showing, the older mentor, showing you how to be a real man. It's very masculine, and I fucking love that. I think that's great. I also personally really liked the ending. It definitely is what it's more realistic than you're expecting. That's one thing I really like about it. Without spoiling too much, I like that the ending is very realistic, and I think it was the right move with it. Absolutely great movie. This one was also directed by Clint Eastwood himself. Alright, now next up we have Richard Jewell. This is the only one of my collection that Clint Eastwood himself doesn't actually star in, but he did direct it. Now again, I also saw this one in theaters. Richard Jewell is based on a true story about a guy who found a bomb and then got blamed for it. It was a real thing that happened, and it was this whole big controversy. I thought it was a great movie. I think it's very interesting to take a look at this case, because I really wasn't all that familiar with Richard Jewell as a person before. There's a movie code if somebody wants it. I'm pretty sure I showed it when I bought it, so... I mean, if you get it, props to you. But there's the disc itself, very minimalist, but whatever. I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. I've only watched it once when I saw it in theaters, but I did end up buying it because I enjoyed it. Alright, and lastly we have The Rookie, which stars Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen and was also directed by Clint Eastwood. This is the only one in this collection that I have not watched. I've never seen this movie. I do intend to, but I haven't yet. But I hope I enjoy it, and I know it doesn't have the best reception. I'm hoping that I like it, but we'll see. Anyway, that's my Clint Eastwood collection. I'll probably do a review of the Dirty Harry series at some point in the future, similarly to how I did with the Shaft series. I'm also thinking of doing it with the Tremors series. I know that's completely unrelated, but I'm thinking of doing that as well. But I'm pretty sure these are all the Clint Eastwood movies I own. If not, if somebody knows one that I haven't included, let me know in the comments, and I apologize in advance if I did. But anyway, that's all for today. This has been Fugitive Red. I have a good one. Toodles.
Hey, man, let's go home.
Yeah, this guy's fucking stupid. Kick him.
Alright, we can kick him then.
What the fuck?